Billy Dodson, thank you for joining me for episode number 3 of Getting to Know You. Tell me, what are you up to these days?
Well, I live in Northwest Arkansas, and if you don't know anything about Northwest Arkansas, it's the natural state Arkansas is, and a lot of hunting, a lot of fishing in this part of Arkansas. I don't really care for the rest of the state, but this little area. A little fun fact: it's the home of Walmart.
Okay.
So there's literally Walmart on every corner. Uh, Walmart everything. There's a Walmart gym, swimming pool. I mean, there's a Walmart everything. So,
Yeah.
but
Have you
nah,
been have you been there your whole life?
no, no, no. I was born in West Texas, um, out in a little town called Alpine and Van Horn, Texas. Little ranch towns. Nothing too special. Uh, Loved it out there. My dad remarried in '98, moved us to Florida, and then I finished school in Florida, and then that's when I enlisted in the Navy. My junior year of high school.
Okay. Were you drawn to anything in school academically?
Uh, I was for most part, I was straight A's and B's, occasional C. I didn't really have too many interests in school. I'm looking back, I really don't know why. I just wanted just to finish it and just move on with life.
Sure.
Played sports a little bit, played football for 3 years. I enjoyed that. Played soccer. I've always done soccer or football.
What did your parents do?
Well, my biological parents, they're divorced. My mom, my biological mom, she's a fabricator. She's kind of a roughneck with the guys, kind of woman. She does welding, fabrication, um, a lot of steel work, a lot of construction stuff. My dad's a school teacher and a volleyball coach. Actually, he's an art major, and he went to school for that in Texas. He got his degree. Then when we moved to Florida, he got a job at a Catholic school, and been doing that for over 20 years. And then coaching volleyball nationally. He's won so many national titles with his girls, so he's pretty proud of that.
Okay. What you said right out of high school you joined the Navy?
Yep,
Was it
yep. And there's
was it planned? How'd you get into that?
okay. So this is actually pretty interesting. So my aunt, my father's sister, she's a scientist. She now is a federal agent. But preceding that, she worked at the University of St. Croix down in the Virgin Islands, doing research down there for them. And this man named Chris came through doing a seminar about a school that he was founding in the Luther of Bahamas, and it's called the Island School. Well, it's basically self-sustaining, very ecological, eco-friendly school. I mean, and it's geared towards sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school. And my aunt thought it was going to be great for me, and she got me information. And this is in 2004, into 2000, well, about 2004, whenever I heard about it. And my family, we didn't have $12,000, so I started writing grants, or writing essays for grants and scholarships,
Hmm.
and was able to make earn 11,000 in grants and scholarships. And then my grandmother, she said, "You know what, Billy, you got 11,000. I'll take care of that last thousand for you."
Right.
So I ended up my spring of 2005. I ended up going to the Bahamas for a semester,
Okay.
and the founder is a retired Navy SEAL.
Okay.
So he taught me how to scuba dive, and then that started, you know, I guess I did kind of have a little bit of passion in school, really enjoying the water and everything. So he taught me how to scuba dive, and then later he taught me how to free dive. And if you don't know anything about free diving, that's diving without without your tank.
Right.
And he got it to where I could be at about 70 foot of water at a depth of 70 feet for about 3.5 minutes, almost
Okay.
4 minutes. And of course, that was before cigarette smoking and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, and he said, hey, I learned how to do this in the Navy, so that's what made me want to join the Navy.
Okay.
Was that man teaching me how to do that. When I originally enlisted, I wanted to be a Navy diver. I didn't really want to go Navy SEAL, but being a Navy diver.
Hmm.
And then whenever I got to MEPS, the Military Enlistment Processing Station, they told me my eyes weren't good enough. They weren't correctable to 2020. So I'd have to choose another job. And I said, well, what else do you got that's in the water? They're like, well, we got submarines. It's under the water. I'm like, yeah, good enough for me.
Gotcha.
And that's right. That's what got me into the going towards the Navy.
What was Navy boot camp like? What was the onboarding process getting out of high school?
Okay, so there's a joke going around that's been going around since I enlisted, that boot camp and all that is no longer a filter; it's a pump now. Of course, early 2000s. That's after 9/11. So the military is really trying to get their numbers up. So they raised the standards as far as like when I enlisted, you couldn't have a single scar on your body that didn't have a doctor's signature on it. You couldn't have any tattoos, any piercings, nothing like that. You couldn't have ever smoked any marijuana, nothing like that. And nowadays, after talking to the guys, you can have tattoos on your hand, your neck, within
Hmm.
reason, of course. So that the standards have really lowered. But when you don't have as many people enlisting and you need people, you'll kind of push them through real fast. Navy boot camp. I went to basic in Great Lakes, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. It was death by PowerPoint. It really is what it was. Just nothing but training and training and training. Navy boot camp. My recruiter told me to go on YouTube. This in the early years of YouTube, and just look up videos about boot camp to kind of get familiar with what I'm going to be doing. And your first 5 to 7 days are called P days, which is processing days. That's where they're still getting you fitted for your uniform and getting all the medical stuff, getting you cleared. And those are probably the worst days. Those are literally the days where they're in your face, yelling and screaming. We had a lot of people, quit the first night, second night. I think by my third night, I got up to use the restroom, or in the Navy they call it the head. I walked in there, and there was a guy there trying to kill himself. He had broken open a razor and just couldn't handle that kind of pressure.
No kidding.
So yeah, I mean, to each their own. To some degree, but that kind of set a mood for my call them divisions, for my division. Like, all right, this is pretty serious stuff.
Right.
But like I said, it was death by PowerPoint. It was literally we got up pretty early, I believe around 6. Well, that's for breakfast, and we get yelled at a little bit, make our beds. I got pretty tough skin, as long as you don't hit me, you can yell at me. So see, boot camp. I was the only submariner in my division. Everyone else was going to surface ships or aviation. A couple of people doing CV, which is construction, jobs. That kind of set me apart a little bit because even in the military, less than 1% of the military has ever seen a submarine, and that's just a statistic that I've been told since day one.
Yeah.
So even my you know uh, drill instructors, they're kind of looking at me, keep an eye on me, and I got some extra responsibilities because they're like, oh, well, if you're going to submarines, you kind of there's a higher standard for you, and that's something that is very true. I graduated boot camp September of '07. I enlisted right out of high school in '07, so I was there by beginning of July. I ended up going to Groton, Connecticut, or New London, Connecticut. They're in New England. They say that's the submarine capital of the world. That's just basically our submarine capital of the United States.
Okay.
And little tiny sub base up there. If you didn't know it was there, you'd never know.
Right.
But spent a year up there. That was pretty fun because I'm a Southern boy. And the first time I ever saw snow in my entire life, they woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go shovel it.
Yeah.
So that was fun. That I spent a year up there. That was a lot of fun. I met my first wife up there. We ended up getting a little house off base, and then graduated sub school. Then I graduated my tech schools. My official title was strategic navigation electronics technician, meaning the strategic side of it is the nuclear weapons. So um, did all that. Got orders to the USS Alaska Gold Crew. I was assigned to SSBN. I say Gold Crew because that ship is designed to be underway or out in the water. Most of its life cycle, most of its lifetime.
Hmm.
So what they do is they put two different crews on a ship, a Gold Crew and a Blue Crew, and then we go out for our deployment. We come in for a month, maybe two at tops, and then the next crew takes it out.
Hmm.
And then instead of other ships, they go out for the deployment and they'll come back in for 6, 7, 8, 9 months sometimes. So yeah, I got orders to that ship, and I
Now, did submarine training prep you for closing that hatch and going underwater for the first time?
no, absolutely not, absolutely not. Um, so I remember it's called the SEIS suit, SEI, submarine escape emergency suit. It's just basically a big trash bag you wear, and you pump it full of ship's air. If you're underwater, so many hundreds of feet, when you just shoot up the hatch, the air will expand and it will, you know, come out the bottom of the suit and you just kind of float to the top.
Hmm.
You'll equalize how you're supposed to. It's really, and well, we're training on how to use that, but all we had was a swimming pool.
Right.
That was like, 8 feet deep. And, you really can't train to shoot up out of the water. So they had a hatch going horizontal, parallel with the bottom of the pool. So you literally had to get in there. You got the water coming in your suit, and you're having to simulate going up the hatch, but you're actually swimming down the pool. After not too long ago, they actually built like I believe like a 100-foot tower, water tower, where you can go in the bottom and actually, train that. Um, Submarine training, and I was going to get to this a little bit later. So the crews are very very small. On my ship alone, we had about 140 to maybe a to 150, 55 people max. And that's from the commanding officer very all the way down to the very lowest junior guy on the ship.
150 people. How large was the vessel?
I can't go into all those details, but pretty much a little bit longer than a football field. Uh,
Okay.
so that now there's a superstructure that goes over the people tank, we call it, and then we got our extremities. Our the we call it a screw, not a propeller, the screw and
Hmm.
all that, and the
Hmm.
planes that that extends out further. But the actual part of the people tank is about 300 feet.
Okay.
Uh, then I believe it's like 70 foot um, from the bilge, the very bottom of the ship to the top.
Okay.
So it's a lot taller than you got a lot more headroom than people imagine, but it's not very long at all.
Right.
And that was the ship. That was the class ship I was on. There's this thing called the fast attack submarines, the smaller ones. We got Virginia classes and Los Angeles classes. Those are a lot smaller. Those hold very, very few people on it. But I say all that because, in the rest of the Navy on those bigger ships, you got a lot of people that can focus on certain jobs. And one of those jobs is damage control. When there's a fire, when there's flooding, you got people that they join the Navy just so they can do that. They're called damage control technicians or DC men. On the submarine, we don't have those people. We are those people.
Right.
And even though I joined the Navy to be electronics technician, I still had to learn the hydraulic systems, the plumbing systems, the air systems. I had to have a general working knowledge of even the reactor and that system, the propulsion system. I wasn't a technician. I didn't have to go work on that, But if the crap were to hit the fan, I need to be able to look at, all right, well that hydraulic manifold, that 4,500 pound hydraulic manifold just ruptured. I need to be able to go isolate that, or if there was a seawater leak, I need to be able to go, stop the flooding.
Right.
Whereas, like I said, in the rest of the Navy, there's people whose jobs are solely for that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so the submarine training that I had, at least in school, was mainly focused on that. Was, yeah, you might be electronics technician, you might be a sonar tech, you might be a cook. However, you still have to learn all this other stuff.
Right.
Um, and so we spent most of that just kind of in the classroom, just learning about the different types of systems and how they interface on the submarine. Then, like I said, so I graduated all of that. And then I got orders down to the USS Alaska. It was in Portsmouth, Virginia at the time, in the shipyards. And I'm sorry if any of your listeners are from Virginia. I can't stand it. So I did not like Virginia at all. It was just, I got there at a horrible time. It was right after Christmas. It was nothing but cold, wet rain and sleet and snow. The ship was just in the shipyards getting some extra work done on it. Finished up there, and then we went down to Kings Bay, Georgia, down in southeast Georgia. And then we got those type of submarines. We got one based in Kings Bay, Georgia. Then we got another one in Bangor, Washington State, up there on your side of town. And as far as I know, those are the only two ballistic missile submarine bases. There's submarines on pretty much at every other Navy base, but those are the only ones meant for those types of submarines.
Okay. What is a submariner's mission in peacetime?
During peacetime,
Well, you joined? Were you involved in anything overseas?
well, I'm going to back up a little bit, and we don't call ourselves submariners. It's submariner,
Okay.
and I say that jokingly because it's because a lot of people pronounce it submariner, and that gives the context of submariner, below
Okay.
regular sailor.
Okay.
But no, it's not offensive at all. I just it's a running joke in the submarine community. It's submariner. We're not below other sailors. I'm like, well, technically we are, but but yeah. So I didn't enlist because I wanted to go fight for my country. I enlisted because I wanted to learn some skills, learn a trade. Um, I was not ready for college. I knew myself well enough. I did not want to go from high school to go to school. I figured I would have just either drank or partied my way out of it. So, I wasn't, but I wanted something there, over my shoulder a little bit. And that was part of the reason, on top of being a Navy diver, that I joined. So, like I said, with 9/11 still fresh, I remember that very vividly to this day. But I believe Operation during Freedom, or what those campaigns were, that was all still going. We did have our missions. Every ship kind of had their missions, and everyone had their part to play in those campaigns, whether we were there actually launching or not launching, or there was always something to be done, whether it was intel or something.
Okay.
If that answers your questions, I can't go into too many
Sure.
crazy details about that.
Right.
So,
Well, I guess in peacetime, what is the mission for submariners?
all right, so that kind of goes into just our day-to-day life out there. We do a lot of running and gunning, and a lot of drilling, as we call it. Pretty much Monday through Friday, and most Saturdays, we'll be running drills. It's one of the big differences between the submarine force and the rest of the Navy or even the military is, our fight, our war for a lot of time, or our day-to-day fight is against the ship. and not necessarily against a country or an enemy or anything
Right.
like that. You know, our ship, the ship I was on, the kill was laid in '83, I believe. You know, so that's when they started construction. It took them probably, I think, maybe a year and a half, maybe or so, to completely fix it, get it tested and commissioned. I believe in '85. I believe if I remember.
Hmm.
I'm not entirely sure, but you know, it got built a long time ago, really, really fast. You know, so and a lot of there still has a lot of the original electronics on it. A lot of you know, the voltage line, you know, power lines. A lot of stuff's original on it. So we spend a lot of our time just fixing the ship, working on the ship, and fighting the ship. Because that multi-billion-dollar, you know, war machine, you know, is when it's time for it to do its mission, it has to be ready to go. It has to be able to
Right.
perform what it's designed to do. So that's really what I did a lot as electronics tech, was sitting there, you know, just working on these components, working on these systems, working on the ships, fixing, you know, this electrical circuit, fixing that electrical circuit, um, and then running fire drills, running flooding drills, you know, and this over and over and over and over again. Because under no circumstance can we call it downtime, and that's just not acceptable. Because in the event of a nuclear war, every second really counts.
Tell me about the first time that hatch closed behind you and that submarine went under.
Okay. So that was actually very miserable. So there's how to explain it. There's a big the summer community is very isolated. We have a very unique set of standards. For instance, there was uh, I went to deck division, which is it's kind of a when you first get to the ship, you know, a lot of times you go, someone will take a person from each division, and you'll go do it's called deck division, and you'll go do like this different types of maintenance, painting, chiseling, you know, grinding on the ship, this kind of, you know, cosmetic stuff on the ship.
Right.
And we had, and E, I was an E4, third class petty officer, and I was submarine warfare qualified. And we had this guy we had a sailor that just got to the ship, and he was an E6. And he was nuclear trained, you know, on the reactor and everything. So that's how he got his rank so fast. And he came to work for me. Anywhere else in the military, at least that I know of, that would not have happened. The E6 would have had the rank, and he would have had the authority.
Right.
Well, on a submarine, I was the one that was warfare qualified. So he had to work for me. Now, granted, there's a respect there. He's still an E6, you know, and he's very smart, obviously. So, I mean, it wasn't anything crazy, but with uh, with the submarines, the warfare qualification means everything. It's a twin pair of dolphins, the fish, on an old diesel overlapping old diesel submarine, and this
Okay.
war right there on our chest. All right, so it takes about average about 10 months for someone to earn that warfare device. If you look at, you know, your Navy SEAL, special warfare, all those kind of people, their qualifications don't take as long. At least their initial ones. At least what I've been told. So when I first got to the ship, I wasn't warfare qualified, so I was what we considered a nub, and the nice way of defining that is non-useful body.
Okay.
And you get there, you don't know anything. You don't know anything about the ship. You're not qualified. There's very little maintenance you can do. You can't do any kind of crazy maintenance because you don't know anything yet. You're so new. So
Right.
really, you're just only good for cleaning and just cleaning and standing watches. So I get to the ship. You know, we're in the shipyards. Then it's time for us to go to a deployment. I remember that day very vividly. I was awake. I was on watch, and you know, it's very exciting because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know anything about. You hear stories. You know, I've been in the Navy at this point a year and a half, going through school, going through training, and it's all leading up to this. And they all told me in the beginning every instructor, everyone said you don't know how you're going to react when the hatch first shuts. You don't know if you're going to break down and cry. You don't know if you're going to be proud. You don't know what's going to happen. And I've seen grown men, very respectable grown men, break down and actually cry after the hatch shuts.
Hmm.
You know, because once it shuts, no matter what happens, you're not getting off it unless they're ready.
Right.
They stop communications. You're not making phone calls. You're not. There's a thing called sailor mail. It's kind of a joke. You know, you'll get, you know, an email from your wife or your loved one, you know, from like 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? It's.
Yeah.
But I remember I was there. We of course we shut all the hatches. We're going out, and then the last hatch that gets shut is the sail. You know, on the submarine, you got the long tube, and you got what comes at the top. That's the sail. That's
Okay.
what it's called. And the officer deck is normally, you know, the last one down. And we're gathering all of our equipment from up there. We're bringing it in, and then it shuts. Lights are off. There's a certain amount of fear, you know, that precedes it. You're like I said earlier, you don't know what's going to happen. And we're coming out of shipyards, and we actually had a hurricane coming up. We were off the coast of actually trying to go down and go deep pretty fast. For us, you know, if there's a hurricane, we just go underneath it. That's kind of the cool thing about submarines. One of them is you just go underneath the hurricane to avoid it. But yeah, we go down pretty deep to avoid it. And we had these contractors on the ship, these civilian contractors, and one of them brought on a stomach bug. And so now we're under this hurricane. And, you know, most ships is kind of, you know, list, you know, side to side. Well, we go side to side, forward, down, all the way around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone got a stomach bug and everyone got motion sickness and everyone was sick and everyone was just absolutely miserable for that one. You don't sleep underway. We switched to 18-hour days. So that's sleep deprivation is very common. Sleep apnea is very common for submariners. Um, you know, once we get out there and we set the watch, we go to 18-hour days. So we'll just say I get up at 6 a.m. You know, I eat breakfast. I go on watch for 6 hours, do whatever my watch duty is. I get off. I eat lunch at noon, and then I do my off watch time, which is maintenance, qualification, studying, whatever I need to do off
Mm-hmm.
watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go dinner at 6 p.m. And then I'm in the rack for 6 hours. And then I get up, I eat breakfast at midnight, you know, then go on watch. Then I eat my lunch at 6 in the morning. You know, I just do that rotation around the clock. And you do that the entire time. And then, like I said, when you're new, when you're first on the ship, you don't really get that time in the rack. If you do, it might be only 3 or 4 hours. You know, so you're going to be up studying and studying and studying.
Right. How long were you in?
I listed July of '07. I got out in November of 13. A little over 6 years, and I did a most of that time on the ship. Last we did a little calculation before I got off. I spent a little over a little over 3 years submerged in the water.
Yeah.
That wasn't counting time on the surface or anything like that. That was actually submerged. And I only did one tour. I only did one. I was only one submarine. You know, so most of my friends are still in. They're on their third one by now. So they've probably
Okay.
spent, you know, at least 9 years
Yeah.
on out to sea like that.
What can you tell me about the last time you came back up before you got out?
Okay, so my last deployment was I knew it was my last one. I was coming up on shore duty. Um, and I was fully qualified and everything. So I was able to really enjoy my time out there. Like I said, qualifications are everything. You know, it's all about what you can do, how much you can provide to the ship. And at that point, I've already I was already the work center supervisor. I've been in a little while as a E5, a senior E5. and I did as many qualifications as I could, you know, in my earlier deployments. So towards the back side, I was able to relax. That one was actually kind of fun. I actually felt we actually kind of we had a little bit of a scare actually. So I can tell you this. So we leave and there's we got a message that there was a Russian Sierra 2 attack submarine that just left their port up there or somewhere up there in Russia. And normally we don't really pay attention to that. Oh, I didn't really pay attention to that kind of stuff, but like every day we got a message saying it was closer and closer. And well, so for submarines, the important thing, one of the important aspects about a submarine is having their electronic signature. Everything has its own electronic signature, its own EM field. And if you can identify that, it's pretty much a fingerprint for a
Mhm.
ship. So the idea is we want to master that. We just got a new commanding officer, and he had us go as deep as we possibly could. We turned off everything on that ship that was not necessary for us to live
Mhm.
or for us to do our mission. We were forced in our racks. You know, normally that's awesome to be forced to go, but you're literally laying there. If you didn't have anything to do, you had to go lay down. You know, you couldn't have a laptop on. You couldn't do anything. We didn't have ventilation. We didn't have any air conditioning basically, and we did everything we could. And they got pretty dang close to us. And then next thing we know, the entire Eastern Fleet got sent out. Everything, you know, a carrier group from and a bunch of amphibious ships from some from down the south came and scared that ship back up to Russia.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. That was you know because when you're down there, you know you don't really feel like you're part of a big navy because you're so isolated.
Mhm.
But you know it's pretty cool knowing that all right we're down here, but we still got the rest of the navy looking over our shoulder. You know, kind of having our back. When I left that ship, it was bittersweet, you know, because I saw time on it. I've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, um, and made a lot of friends, lifelong friends. You know, friends that my best friends still to this day. Um, I still have dreams about that ship. You know, I still have
Yeah.
dreams about being out to sea. You know, and I love it. I don't miss the military. I don't miss you know, when I was younger, I needed Big Brother over my shoulder. I did, you know, tell me what to do. I needed it then. I don't necessarily need it now, but I miss the camaraderie. I miss going out there and not having to worry about what's going on at the house. You know, like nowadays, you know, all right, I go to work, are the kids being good in school? Is the wife getting up for work? You know, just you got. But when you get deployed, you have to put all that behind you. You know, and you have to, if not, you just go crazy. And I think that's why a lot of those men that I knew that went, you know, kind of crazy out to sea is because they couldn't put that behind them.
Yeah.
It was very, like I said, it was very bittersweet. I don't know how to explain it, honestly, man. I was ready to go. So I wanted to go to shore duty. I had a pretty good, I got orders to go, do work package controls, maintenance basically, and all that for the shipyards. You know, I was pretty excited about that. You know, get some time off, get some time away from deployments. You know, my kids were getting older, spend some time with them. You know, then go back to ship and end up running a division was what my goal was. Um, but you had some family issues, so I decided not to go back in. You know, me and I'm we have a little Facebook thing on Messenger. All those guys are on the ship together. We still talk and everything. And I was actually joking around about this the other day with them because you know I think when I first started talking to you, you know I told you I used to you know be a quartermaster on the ship, and I couldn't stand staring at a chart. I could not stand sitting in one spot staring at a chart with the light over your head, with the little dividers, plotting dots, and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I could not stand it's called the conventional navigation. I hated it. Could not, I, you know, I enjoyed doing the maintenance, the electrical maintenance, you know. So that's what I focused on. And I'm so glad I did. I focused on that. I was actually doing an interview with my stepson. It's a job fair thing, and what I told him in that little report was, you learn just a simple skill. For me, it was just basic AC and DC electrical troubleshooting maintenance. Just very simple electrical maintenance,
Hmm.
and then just build on that, learn a new skill, and build on that. Now I do industrial maintenance for injection molding for a structural plastic company. I do everything from wall to wall in that factory, in that warehouse. There's nothing I can't do.
Hmm.
Last week I rebuilt a hydraulic cylinder on a huge machine. I did submerged lighting in another warehouse. I stick with mainly electrical and control systems, robotic systems. Those are pretty fun. Um, Today I was patching a roof. I mean, just I do a little bit of everything now,
Yeah.
but I do industrial maintenance, welding, fabrication. I just got certified for doing structural welds over there, so kind of excited about that. That's more money,
What got you
and
into
that's
that career?
well. The Navy. It was the job satisfaction of, because I remember being on that ship, and something breaks, and then you go and fix it. You get the schematics out, you trace it, you say, hey, this has to be the issue. Then you go replace that switch, that limit switch or sensor or whatever it is, and then it's fixed, it's running, and it's like, wow, I did that. You know, a huge amount of job satisfaction. So I stuck with that. When I got out of the Navy, I started climbing cell towers for a living, and that was a lot of fun. Doing that as well, climbing up there. My ex-wife, joked around a lot. She's like, first you're 1,000 feet in the water, so to speak. Now you're 1,000 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Just pick something on the ground.
Yeah.
And so I learned more electrical, more mechanical. Got a lot more mechanical knowledge working on cell towers, cranes and rigging and that kind of stuff. Out here in Arkansas, there's a chicken plant on every street corner. I've been at most of the chicken plants here, doing maintenance here, learning different systems, learning different skills. Now I got a little cake 40 hour a week job. It's worked out really well, in the military, in the submarine community. And one thing I love about the submarine life is you're always pushing yourself. You're always, what's the next qualification? What's the next thing I need to be doing now? All right, I'm finishing up this certification. I'm finishing up this qualification. What do I need to be working on, next? And that's kind of something I've brought into civilian life is, not settling, not let myself plateau. So
What does your wife do for a living?
okay, so I met my wife here at one of the plants I was at. She does quality control. Um, she's a QA lead.
Okay.
So yeah, she's found her passion as well. It took her a little while to kind of settle into her role, but she just got her eval back, her yearly eval, whatever, and she's phenomenal at her job, and she's gone a lot of places too. Yeah, she works third shift. I work first shift, so we have always someone here with the kids. She's got two kids, and I got two kids, my ex-wife, and it's everything's been working out really, really well so far, man.
How old are all the kids? What are they into these days?
All right, so the oldest in this household is her oldest daughter. She's 15, and then my oldest daughter, her name is she's 13. Then she's got a son that's 13 as well. Then the youngest in this house is my son, and he's 11. And I have a little 4-year-old girl down in Oklahoma, actually, right there where lives. She just turned 4 in October. She's with her mama down there. We got quite the gang here in this house. We got 6 people.
Yeah.
The kids they all get along, and they all gang up on us. That's really what they do.
As they should.
So Yeah, and they're spoiled too.
Well, good for you, man. Look, I appreciate your service and your time tonight.
So,
Is there anything else you that's sitting on your mind you want to share?
uh, so I was sitting there thinking, obviously you see me smoking cigarettes here. I'm a smoker. For the longest time, you can smoke on submarines. We had a little exhaust area where we could smoke, and some admiral wanted to get an extra star on his collar, so he did a study proving that cigarette smoking is harmful to us. So January 1st, 2011, they banned cigarette smoking on submarines, and that was kind of a big deal because we were deployed. We were already out to sea, so we didn't really have any resources, any alternatives. So everyone was about to get cut off all at once. And that was real scary because our master chief was a smoker and he was kind of mean. What was cool is our commanding officer on New Year's Eve, he opened up uh, smoking in all areas of the ship. The only thing you just couldn't smoke on the mess decks while we're eating and everything, and you couldn't be in medical or in berthing, or where you're sleeping at. It was really cool. Me and a couple other E5s, we went into the area and we stole some of their cigars. They're it's terrible. I'm not too familiar with their tradition, but I guess it's tradition that anytime a submarine goes down, it goes up. So I don't know why it comes up. So every time they open the hatch and they come out, they usually smoke a ceremonial cigar, celebrate. Hey, the submarine went under the water and now it came out of the water. Well, we stole a bunch of those, and then we're sitting in cruise lounge, and a buddy of mine had brought a guitar out there, and he's just strumming guitar. We're sitting there passing, just throwing cigars around, and that's one of the things I dream about is that moments like that where it's just we just up to our shenanigans and we just sit back and just relax and that's the moment I wish I would have had it on camera or something. But just a buddy of mine, he's just strumming guitar, we're just smoking a cigar, drinking soda and everything, and just enjoying our time out there. But yeah, like I said, man, it's something if I could, I don't really care for the military, too much, but I loved the submarine force. I loved my brothers out there, the camaraderie we had, and that's something that I don't think you'll find in too many other places in the military other than maybe some special forces.
Right.
Any other questions, brother?
I think that's all I had, man. That's more than I had. I'll be working on this tomorrow.
All right, well, let me know how it goes, man. All right, man. You have a good
Thank you,
night.
man. Later.
All right.